Okay, welcome back to our Rain or Shine winter weather special. So looking back at last winter, just to remind you guys, we had 2 blizzards. We had 22 inches of snowfall.
Yikes.
And we had that blizzard that was 10 to 15 inches metro-wide back in January. And then also in February, we got to -10. That was our coldest temperature.
That was the coldest one.
Yeah, so it was a cold and snowy winter for sure.
That's cold, for sure.
Okay, and then as far as last year's standings are concerned, here's how things played out. So now Alex had 9.5. I had 10.6. Jacob had 11. Joe had 12. We were all so close, and Carly had
And
a
then
4-inch
the blizzard
spread.
happened.
And then the blizzard happened.
She had 16 inches.
Again,
She
I'm
was
right there. You
predicting-
take out that blizzard, and it's a whole different ballgame.
Right?
Oh.
I agree with that, but 22 on the nose. Carly, the reigning champ.
Right, so
Once
it's
again.
kind of like Price is Right,
Yeah, right.
type of rules. So before we begin, like I mentioned, there are some rules that we need to go over. This is very serious stuff.
No cheating.
Okay,
We
now
have a clock set.
we have a clock set. So here are the contest rules, all right?
Okay.
So you have to include, obviously, your snow predictions. We also predict the coldest low temperature.
Okay.
And we're going to go over our reasoning for the forecast. And we have a maximum of 2 minutes
Okay.
to go through all of this.
You ready?
Okay.
You're up. Winner.
You're up.
Winner goes first.
Okay?
Ooh.
With
I'd
our golden
I'd like to
snowflake.
thank my one page of winter weather predicting from Florida State University. It was one page of snow forecasting that got me here, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. I'm predicting 18 inches. I'm going very close to what our average winter snowfall total is. I'm expecting a cold of -11, so slightly colder than last year. I do think the drought conditions are going to continue into this winter, so it might keep our totals a little bit lower than last winter. I always look at the woolly worms. I've seen a lot of all black woolly worms, a few white ones, but also a lot of mixed brown and black, so I have looked at that in the persimmon seeds. I do think we're going to have a lot of dry time, though, with just a few bigger storms to get to that 18-inch total. And I do think we're going to have at least one big storm and or blizzard.
Wow, another blizzard.
Blizzard.
I like those
that.
blizzards. Let's go. So
like
anyway, that's what
that.
I'm going with for this year.
So what's average? Average is
18 now.
Yeah.
18
it's about
inches.
8
So
inches.
Carly's
So right
right
on.
at
Yeah.
average.
I decided to go right on the nose this year.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that.
Joe, you're up.
All right, my turn. So I am 1 inch. So I should mention I have not seen.
We
have
haven't
not
seen
seen
each other.
anybody.
No,
so
nobody
we're
knows what we're doing.
all in the dark.
There was
about
no
this.
collaboration.
There was none whatsoever.
contest.
So
wow.
I'm at 19 inches.
Joe,
My
Oh my
coldest
goodness.
is -10. I actually my heart told me 22.
Okay.
But
funny.
I was worried about the drought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the drought's a thing. Now, La Nina is also a thing. Michelle was talking about it. I alluded to it. But La Nina is, I think, going to fade very quickly in the next about 6 to 8 weeks. And will probably be in what we refer to as La Nada, where there's really not much going on.
He said Lanada.
In the equatorial Pacific Ocean. So I don't think La Nina is going to be that big of a thing. I do worry about getting some pretty big cold air blasts, maybe a little bit more unusual than our typical cold air blast that we see during the winter, and that's why I wanted to take us down to -10. I do think we're going to have some favorable snow setups. We've had storms, they just haven't tracked well for us so far, but we've had the storms. So if we can get those storms to shove a little further south, we could be in business. And I think there's upside to that 19, but you know, again, I'm worried about the drought. And my only question is, will these cold shots of air outweigh the bigger warm-ups in between? I think we're talking about record warmth at some point over the
That's a
winter.
good point.
But will these big cold blasts, like what we've seen off and on over the last few years, we get these 2-week shots of cold
Right.
air
It's brutal.
with snow on the ground, and it throws the whole winter into below average temperatures. So those are the things ruminating through my mind.
All right, who's next?
Y'all were close.
Jacob.
Who's up?
Oh,
no,
Michelle.
Michelle, you're up.
Okay. So,
she's close too.
Okay.
Oh
so
my goodness.
You both, I'm cracking up sitting here because Okay, so I originally put 22.8 inches
Did you
down.
really?
That is what I had on my sheet. And then I started looking at things, and I was weighing the drought a little too much. So then I went down to single digits.
Oh.
And then now this morning I hemmed and hawed, and I was back and forth, back and forth. So I finally settled this morning on 17.4. I agree. I think there could be upside. It just depends on tracks. Also, it depends on the blocking up in the Pacific Northwest. If we get more blocking, it's going to be colder, so that could be a little more favorable if we get some of those winter weather systems coming through. Yes, a weak La Nina transitioning into more of that neutral phase. So they're typically cold and snowy, but I'm staying cold and snowy with warmth intervals here or there. I still think we're going to get real cold a couple mornings. I'm going with 12 degrees below zero for my coldest temperature, just under a smidge under 17 and a half
So
inches.
10, 11, and minus 12.
Yeah, pretty
So
typical
far.
snowfall though. That's what I'm going
So
with.
essentially, right now,
Y'all are right there. Upper
Yes.
teens, very cold.
like I am in a no man's land. I've got to hit 18 on the dot.
Oh yeah, good luck. Good luck keeping that.
Yeah, this is
It's
already
hard.
going to be passed next winter.
It's a tight corridor.
All right, who's next?
Alex, I think you are.
I think I am.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, so mine 16 and a half.
Oh my goodness.
16 and a half. By the way, again, we
Oh
didn't
my
talk
gosh.
about these numbers. We weren't collaborating. We're just all kind of on the
Hilarious.
same wavelength.
Even your coldest temperature.
Yeah.
Minus 13.
It was interesting. I went back
Go,
and took a look
Alex,
at
go.
I took a look at the past couple of coldest mornings
Right.
over the last two winters. We had minus 10, minus 16. And again, it's very possible, like Joe mentioned, we get these really cold punches with snow on the ground, clear skies overnight. And it's not impossible. So I think minus 13. Again, we've already talked about how the polar vortex has been in flux over the last few weeks. That could continue. And obviously, we talked about weak La Nina going to neutral. Cold shots, very possible. The drought, also, as I mentioned earlier in our special, could tamp things down just enough to stay just below average.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right.
Okay.
Let's last but
Drum
not
roll.
least.
Final one. Here you go. 14 inches.
So you're the
Jacob on
lowest.
the
All right, so
low end.
14 or lower, and you're going to win this.
Yeah, so
Well, no, what was
below
the next one
normal.
after that? 16?
Me,
16
and a
So
half.
he could even get 15 and a little over
that's true.
15 and
That's
still
a
be
change,
within
yeah.
range. Okay.
Okay, my coldest temperature though, 15 below.
Jacob.
We have gone from high to low.
Yeah, kind of crazy. So I think our main driver this winter is actually going to be on the eastern hemisphere, the MJO,
Okay.
out near Asia, Oceania. So this is very similar to some setups in the 1980s where we had record December, record March snows, and really dry January. So I'm going near no snow in January, and I think the December, March things will fluff up
Like
the totals
bookend it.
to about 14. So I think
Okay.
late season, early season, snow chances to get us to about 14, but the lack of January snow will keep us below normal. So we'll see.
And I think your January thought is a good thought. I think we're going to have a real
Yeah.
January thaw this
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and maybe cycle into that potential of some record warmth coming our way. So there's one thing that we have not even addressed.
What's that?
And this is one thing that people ask me a lot about. What about ice?
Oh. Yeah. Well, that
about ice?
I said earlier, I was like, I have this weird feeling we're going to get just hammered with an ice storm this year. I don't know. I just like, it's just.
Sometimes
it's
the
not
big
setting well
warm
with me.
swings when you're stuck in the middle of a warm swing and a cold blast.
The
That's the
transition.
icy
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
transition. Yeah.
All right, so you've heard from us individually. Let's take one last look at the team average, just so we're kind of all on the same page here. 14 to 19 inches is our range. 10 to 15 degrees below zero, our coldest temperature. So our team average is 17 inches,
Near normal.
which is near normal, yes. And there is not a lot of wiggle room. So Joe, you get 19. Really, if you get
If I
18 and a
get-
half or more, you
Yeah.
win.
Bring it.
Jacob,
Bring it.
15 and a half
or
or under, you win.
Let's go.
And the rest of us have about a half inch to work with.
I also think, guys, this is the first time ever that all 5 of us have predicted double-digit negative
Correct.
temperatures.
Correct.
I think
Yeah,
we're
for our
all going
coldest morning.
super cold.
And
Yeah.
also double-digit snow totals.
True.
Yeah.
There's no single-digit predictions.
Not in the
this
last
year.
3 or 4 years. So
That's a good point.
So typically around here, and we verify everything. We should also mention we verify up at KCI.
At the airport.
All right, so
That's a
your
trick.
results will vary. Northern Missouri,
Yes.
Maryville, Bethany, You could have 10 extra inches of snow. Areas further south could have 10 less inches
Right.
of snow. But
Or
we have
vice
to
versa.
pick- we have
Just
to pick
depends.
a spot, and that spot is KCI, which we do with our verified forecast every night on the news anyway. So, or every day on the news. So KCI is the official reporting station for Kansas City, so we go in that direction.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Exciting.
All right, so a lot of you are probably like really happy with Jacob's idea. You're grumbling about my idea. We'll see what happens here.
Okay.
Yeah, so no matter what happens this winter, of course, we'll be here, all five of us, tracking it all through the Midwest. So thanks so much for joining us here on Rain or Shine. We'll see you next time here on WDF Plus.